Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. We'll go ahead and get started with our guest today. First question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name is Jeff Benson. I am a managing partner with Prominent Insurance Agency, and I'm a community advocate within my local area.
Fantastic. Well, question number 2, what's the best thing about working with a team?
Collaboration. I always like to surround myself with very intelligent people. I try not to be the smartest in the room, but collaboration is key because a lot of ideas tend to flow, and then you're able to capitalize on the synergies and move to set goal, whatever that may be.
That's a great point about collaboration. Great point. Well, question number 3, I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. What are your thoughts?
Well, when you're dealing with different personalities, depending on who the head is, what I try to do is I try to learn how everyone thinks around me and how they properly communicate. In a relationship, you call it your love language. And so I try to figure out what their business language is. What makes them tick? What are the do's and the don'ts when addressing them and, pulling on their strengths? Me personally, I try to have individuals that highlight my strengths, but also isolate my weaknesses. So when I'm building a team, I try to look at, all those characteristics so we can thrive together and move forward to be successful.
I really like that concept of building on the teams and strengths and isolating the weaknesses and whatnot. That's a great concept, great visual.
Thank you.
Question number 4, what other piece of advice would you offer to leaders of teams?
Build relationships. It goes back to the last question, but if you're building a relationship, it kind of allows you to be able to understand what's going on when things are off, right, within the team. Why are we off? Why are we, if we're having a losing quarter or even the week, things are off on sales. You can identify and see what's going on with individuals, learn, birthdays, anniversary dates, who the spouse and who the kids are, kind of understand what's going on. Right now we're in the COVID-19. So, mental health is a big thing. Trying to be aware of how individuals are doing before you even start a meeting. How are you doing should be the question. Is there anything I can do to help you? Are there any resources that you need from me that I may be able to assist you with that help you with maybe some of the challenges that you're dealing with? So relationships is a big thing when you're dealing with teams.
That's such a great point, because I think that that relationship building and showing people that you care is an often overlooked part, an important part of leadership and leading teams. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Well, question number 5, what other successful team leaders, such as yourself, would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
Wow. So it's a few individuals that come to mind. Believe it or not, I find inspiration in everything, right? And so first, I'm a father and a husband first. So I'm inspired by how my wife, she juggles, the household along with our kids. And she has, a complex schedule, just as busy as myself. And especially during COVID, she was the champion in making sure while the kids were home, studies was getting done and the house was still maintained, right? And so I was the support system. I have business partners, Jason Rodriguez. He's handicapped, and he's overcome some challenges to be a successful entrepreneur and also motivate youth around in our area, so we both mentor. Troy Purnell is another guy. He's the founder of Gotta Be a Better Way Foundation, and we grew up together. And, he'll be swearing into the Seaford School District Board of Education this week. And, I'm very excited about the possibilities that come with that. Craig Frazier. He was one of my mentors when I was in Germany in the military. And, he got me involved with, stocks and bonds, but primarily leadership, and he was a facilitator of a program called Customer College, and it was dealing with customer service. And I've never forgot those leadership messages and tactics and techniques that he poured into me. And being on social media, we get a chance to chat every now and again. Alva Benjamin is another gentleman that I met when I was in the military, just a tremendous leader. He's actually a Chief Master Sergeant now, and will be retired probably in a couple years, but, just a wonderful guy that, I look up to. Another peer would be Lorenzo Livingston. We came into the military together, once again, another Chief Master Sergeant, and just continue doing some great things in the community and gaining rank and just being recognized. My parents are both my mom and dad, and then I had a bonus mom that just gave me great insight and poured into me great family values, and to always put God first, believe in yourself, and always do the right thing. It costs you nothing to do the right thing. You never have to ask permission to do the right thing. So I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of people. I try to cover everything, but my inner circle for the most part is my wife and my kids. So I would say, they inspire me every day to do better and be better. Strive to set the example specifically for my kids, so they can get to the next level, and also be a good leader for my wife. So, she doesn't lose the respect of a spouse, and, doesn't mind in a time of submission to submit and say, hey, I'll allow you to lead and, take us to where we're supposed to go as a family.
Well, thank you for recognizing those people. You've obviously had some great influence on people, as well as you've received some great input from others. And so I just think that's fantastic. And by the way, Jeff, thank you so much for serving our country in the military. We really appreciate that. So thank you for your service.
No problem.
Well,
thank you.
Sixth and final question. Tell us about your first job.
Okay. So my first job, believe it or not, was working for myself. So I was 13 or 14 years old, and in the area, you have to have a worker's permit. And at that time, no one really wanted to hire you because of the labor laws and what that looked like. And, you're only allowed X amount of hours, yada, yada, yada. So I couldn't, for whatever reason, I couldn't get hired. And so growing up like yourself in a rural town, my father, he was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. So he had two lawnmowers in the back, push lawnmowers in the back. And he had got this old, probably 86 Chevy that he bought from this farmer. All right. And so one of our next door neighbors was a state police officer and a family friend. And so he told him what he was doing and, correlating for me. And so what happened was he said, what you're going to do is you're going to start and go door to door to cut grass, right? And he said, I guarantee you will expand your business by the end of the summer. So this was like the beginning of the spring, right? And so as I, continue to grow, of course, I have to drive down the road. And that's the reason why my dad reached out to the state police officer and say, if anything happens, can you keep an eye out to make sure, he's okay. And so I started probably in April, and by August, it was great, man. I had pretty much all the lawns within my neighborhood within at least a 2 to 3 mile radius, right? And I had hired my brother and one of my good friends to help. And I was very cheap. Everyone kept on telling me you're cheap. And so I didn't know anything about, property price in the yard. So I charged everybody $20. It didn't matter what size the yard was. And they said, oh, yeah, you're cheap. I'll hire you. And so I was able to make money with that. And it taught me the principles of entrepreneurship. And I'll never forget. I remember seeing my brother on one yard and my good friend on the other while I was going to collect money from a yard that we had cut earlier in the week. And I thought to myself, man, I could do this forever. I didn't want to do that particular job forever, but the aspect of being your own businessman or your own boss was like really inspiring to me. And so fast forward from there, I ended up working. My real first job outside of entrepreneurship was McDonald's. So I worked at McDonald's, learned some of that trading. And then my second job in high school, I worked for Nanticoke Memorial Hospital, and I was a porter. And that's where you work in the kitchen, you transport the patient's food and their trays and different things. And I was there for 2 years up until graduation, until I joined the military. So those were my experiences early on, but I thank God for my father having the foresight to instill into me entrepreneurship. Not everybody's an entrepreneur. So, you don't have to feel bad if that's not your, the route you want to take, because that is definitely hard work. But it put me in a position to, he planted the seed for different things to sprout in my life as we speak now. And so I'm so grateful for that.
Such great stories. Thank you for sharing those, because I love hearing about how the simple lawn cutting job turned into more of a business than perhaps it was originally intended. So I love those stories. Thank you for sharing them. Well, Jeff, thank you for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
You can find me on all social media. It's at jbenson84. And that's for IG, Facebook, and even Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn, Jeffrey, Jeffrey T. Benson Jr. on LinkedIn. You can find me. And we'll connect on there, and feel free to reach out. I'm accessible, as you know. I answer my inboxes and different things, and definitely if it's pertaining to community work or business, I'm definitely always available for those.
Fantastic. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can find us on LinkedIn by searching Blue Sky Business Consulting. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.